Hi, I'm Harris Klisky, and I'm the producer of the brand new murder mystery game show, Who Done It? Today though, we need your help to solve a murder mystery. Our executive producer Colin Ward has been murdered, and we think it's one of the crew that's done it. Watch the investigation that I conducted and listen carefully to what the crew have to say. Then be prepared to ask them your own questions to help you try and work out who the murderer is.
Hello, Emma.
Hiya, nice to see you.
Well, unfortunately, I've got some bad news. Colin's been murdered.
What?
Colin's been murdered.
Yeah.
Colin.
Oh no.
It's terrible news. Appalling, really.
What happened?
A mysterious package arrived at Colin's house with an old version of the Who Done It logo on it. This package contained a few tea bags, which Colin must have thought were a gift from the team. He made himself a cup of tea and enjoyed drinking it slowly over a quiet afternoon. Little did he know that these tea bags were poisoned and he'd soon be dead.
The first question I asked each of the crew was for them to tell me a little bit about their role on our TV show, Who Done It?
So I'm director, so I've been organising the folders, making sure everything is in its place and ready to go when we need it. I've been working across all the departments and making sure everyone's on top of everything and knows what they're doing. At least I hope they do. But I also have been writing the scripts for the show, and yeah, I've had a long history with Colin and we've worked together for a long time.
My primary role is I'm the vision mixer, which is essentially the live editor. So I sit in front of a board of buttons on the day and I choose what goes live and when. So that includes cameras, inserts, graphics, etc. In terms of pre-production, I've been writing some of the inserts for the show, been working with the camera girl to figure out how we want to get the VTs done, and been editing our promotional videos.
So I'm the sound designer and it's my job to locate all of the music and sound effects that we need for the show. So I spend a lot of time listening to different tracks, looking through sound effects libraries and even like creating a few of the assets that are more specific to the show.
I'm the lead camera and lighting, so my job really entails creating all the camera plans and making sure that what you see engages you and the audience, and that we create dramatic effect through the use of cameras.
I'm the designer, so I've been buying a lot of the props and designing the set for the show. I've also designed the graphics, which include the logo.
I'm production manager, so I've been working across our scheduling, writing risk assessments. I'm responsible for the email account on the show, so I've actually got a lot on today, so if we can just get a move on.
Next, I asked each member of the crew to tell me a little bit about their relationship with Colin.
Well, I've always been a huge fan of Colin's work. Raven and Jungle Run were a big part of my childhood. I've seen every episode. Yeah, I really admire his work, so I'm not really sure why anyone would want to do something like that to him.
Well, I've worked on a number of studio sessions with him before, and I know the high design choices he wants and his expectations, so I've been working hard to meet his standards and make him proud.
I mean, I only started working with him this year because I've always worked with Paul. I work really well with Paul, so gives really great advice. But Colin seems like a nice enough chap. I mean, it's a small thing, but he really can't keep his mouth shut. Just really about I was organizing a party and he couldn't keep it to himself. But it's really not that big of a deal. It's nothing to quarrel about. But I probably shouldn't have said that. But yeah.
Colin's great. Listen, I don't always agree with what he says, and sometimes I think his marking is a little bit out of order, but I understand. I think in our last meeting, Lydia told me to keep the party a secret, but I think I might have accidentally told Colin about it.
Honestly, I think Colin's great, but I don't know him very well. I've been working with his rival Ed for nearly 3 years now. Ed and I get on really, really well. Think he's great, but I couldn't tell you much about Colin. I'm very new to his world.
We had a great relationship, and I know this may put a halt on production, but I think Colin would want us to go ahead with the show. And I know Ed's gonna tell us no, but I hate to say this, but it has kind of thrown a spanner in the works. And I feel guilty because, well, I've definitely been doing things I shouldn't have for the benefit of the show. For the benefit of the show.
As you'll have seen from our reconstruction, the package that arrived with the poison tea bags had an older version of the logo on it, compared to the one that we are now using for the show. This means we think it must have been one of the crew that killed Colin. I asked them if they had any suspicions about anyone else on the team.
Well, an old version of the logo. Jess is the designer, so she's made all of the drafts of the logo. If there was an old version, I'd be kind of suspicious of her.
Well, I know a lot about the different versions of the logo that were unreleased, and I know the final design very well. But I've worked with Zoe and Emma in that folder, and they rearrange it quite a lot. And so they have access to all the different past versions.
I don't know why anyone would want to kill Colin. He's been great at helping us through this show. So obviously the only weird thing was I've been obviously organising the folders, and I have recently seen Jess and Lydia and Zoe in the logos folder, just moving some stuff about. But I like this. It seems like a bit pretty insignificant detail because all of their roles involve using the logo. So I assume it's just for social media or design. But that's really the only thing.
Not really, maybe. I don't want to push people under the bus or anything because I'm not that kind of person. But Jess, she's been acting kind of sus and weird around us. And, well, that party I was talking about, it was for Whodunit and for when we finished filming, and she was going to paint this big banner. But the paint she bought was toxic and poisonous. And, she told me she was going to throw it away, but I don't really see her, or she kind of went quiet after that. So I don't know. Plus she's got so much design work that, using the old design logo. I mean, who more than her? Yeah.
We used to keep all of our logos in the same place, in one folder, until Emma, well, you know how she likes to sort things. Emma sorted the logos into different folders. So I think it's unlikely after the sorting that somebody would have chosen the wrong logo.
Interesting.
Also, I was listening to the soundtrack, and I could hear voices on some of the soundtrack. So I don't think Karis is in the clear. Karis seems a little suspicious to me, but I couldn't work out who the voices were. But she is in charge of sound.
Well, the only suspicious behaviour that I've seen, I overheard Emma having a conversation with someone about a betting scheme that would allow people to bet on who they thought the murderer was before the episodes of the show were released. I couldn't quite hear who she was talking to, so I think there might be someone else involved with that. That's the only suspicious thing that I can think of.
We took some evidence from the Whodunit drive and asked each of our suspects to comment on whether they thought it was relevant to the case. The first thing we showed them was this floor plan.
This looks like a version of our floor plan for our show. I've seen old versions of this, but I've never seen one with a teacup on it before.
I've not seen a camera plan for the show yet, but I recognise that teacup logo and I've seen it somewhere on the drive before.
No, I've never seen that. I'd assume that's Lydia's as she is lead camera, but I would have thought she would have shown me it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's one of my camera plans. I don't really know why you use it as any kind of, evidence. Like, there's nothing special about it. I would just move on. Honestly, if I were you, it's just like boring old camera plan.
Oh yeah, that's one of the camera plans, I think, for one of the episodes of the show.
Interesting. Nothing unusual about it at all?
Not that I can tell.
I like snacks and tea and food, and Zoe wasn't listening to me about needing more food in the budget, so I've been slipping hints everywhere I can. So I'm afraid that's me defacing the camera plan.
The second piece of evidence that we showed our suspects was this receipt from a shop called Paints and Poisons.
I mean, this is proving what I said, like, it's kind of sus. It's kind of like, it's the paint. I swear that's the poisonous paint. And there's a reason why you chose it as evidence. I said it. Why would I lie to you?
No, I have no idea what that's about.
I've not seen this receipt before, and I've been working on quite a lot of the budget, so I'm surprised I've not come across this. But Helena's been asking me quite a lot of questions about the budget, so maybe she might have seen something about that.
Okay. What shop's that for?
It's called Paints and Poison.
I'm afraid I can't help you.
I've never actually. I have seen that. So when I was looking through the folders the other day, I came across the budget. I was just having a look through it because we are currently a little bit over budget, and we have a set paint company that we use for painting all the sets and stuff just across the board. We've got a nice deal with them, but I saw Jess had purchased some paint that wasn't from the company we usually use. I assume that would be just because maybe they have a shade that our usual company doesn't have or something like that. But yeah, that receipt matches up.
I ordered some paint by accident for a party that Lydia was organising for the end of the show, and I realised when it arrived that it was toxic, but I told Emma about it and Lydia, and I decided not to use it.
The last piece of evidence we showed each of the suspects was that Colin was having a meeting with both Ed and Paul to discuss who done it before he was murdered. What could this mean?
I mean, Paul's lovely. Ed's someone I've known for a long time, but I don't know why they would be talking about the TV show. Honestly, that seems peculiar. I
wasn't aware of that meeting, and I didn't realise he was discussing it with them.
Ed and Colin worked, together, organising stuff at studio, but I don't really know why Paul was there. Which, yeah, I don't really know, if I'm to be honest.
I don't know all of Colin's schedule, but I'm not surprised they had a meeting talking to them. But I don't know exactly what it was about.
Well, I know that Ed's been heavily involved in sort of the studio projects and helping out. I'm not sure why Paul would be talking to them. I do know that Lydia's been having conversations with Paul about the show, but I didn't think that Colin was aware of that. So I'm not really sure about that.
I would have thought he would have told me about that though. That sounds like a very important meeting though, given they're both the other studio lecturers. I hope it wasn't going to complicate complicate anything with our show, but I've never heard about that meeting.
Now you've seen me interrogate the suspects, it's your turn. Get ready to ask questions to the crew and see if you can work out who killed Colin.